Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Talk Music session tonight. We're excited to have you involved, and we're very excited to have Sister Bernard with us tonight. As you can see, she's here and ready to go and excited, and we are excited to have her. So as you are coming in, I see several names popping up now as you're getting logged in, but I wanted to kind of go over a couple of things with you if you're new to our webinar. But basically, if you have questions, I know you will from time to time as she's speaking, you can just jot those questions down over here in the control panel, and I'll see those questions, and I'll kind of just get with you. I'll chat with you a little bit on the side as she's even speaking, and then at the end we'll have a time where you can talk with Sister Bernard. If you have a question, I'll kind of unmute your mic and let you have a time to maybe get some questions answered. This topic is such a great topic. It's when she told me what she'd like to speak on, I thought it was phenomenal because it affects all of us. When we're talking about generational worship, that's such a big topic and something that really does affect all of us as worship leaders and music directors. And so anyway, I'm very excited to hear what she has to say. Of course, she has great experience in this area, and I'm personally excited to hear what she has to say because I need to know it too, and we all are going to learn tonight. So anyway, without any further ado, I'm going to kind of go away. I may come back in and out. We're going to do some Q&A tonight. Is that okay, Sister Bernard, with you?
Oh yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do Q&A tonight. I may pop in and we may ask some questions right in the middle, or we may wait till the end. We'll just kind of see how it goes tonight. But I want to go ahead and get out of the way. Sister Bernard, you can go ahead and take it, and we'll get started. Sister Bernard, I have kind of been talking just a little bit about just getting some questions. I've been talking to different ones about what they do in their church. But if you want to take 5 or 10 minutes and go ahead and share what you were going to share with them, that'd be great.
Okay, I'm so sorry that this has happened. We tried. I even got Brother Bernard in on it, so we couldn't. We just lost all internet. I was really going to talk about generational worship, and this is something that every church deals with because you're trying to connect with all of the people in your church, yet there is sometimes such a distance between the age. And to me, I'm just going to hit some hot things. I'm going to go down my list here since we're out of time. I would take a poll of the church to see what is the majority of the people in your church. Some congregations are starting out and they've got a younger congregation. That younger congregation might have no clue about, or they may not know any of our old hymns. They may not know any of the wonderful hymns that I was raised in. And it's good. I've actually had young people come up and say, that song was beautiful. I've never heard it before. And I said, well, that song is from 50 years ago, 60 years ago. And they appreciate that. And I think more and more the generations, the millenniums, and now appreciate history. And I think it's good to have a mix of both old and new. I think it's good to have a balance. Sometimes and I've traveled with Brother Bernard all over the United States and all over the world. It's amazing the different cultures and the different songs that come out from the areas of the states even. We've been somewhere, and I've been around music all my life. I had 12 years of classical piano. Then it went through JCM, Jackson College of Ministry's music degree, and all of that. But I still hear songs that I've never even heard of before. So I think it's good to have a balance. I think it's good to have a blend. A lot of them already do this, where you take an old song and you add a new one to it, or vice versa. I think when you're doing new songs, presenting new songs, this is just my 2 cents. I have found over time that it's good to do that at like a family service. Like I know in New Life Austin, when we started the church, Sunday night was like family night. And we had visitors, but it was more an opportunity. Even Wednesday night was a good time to present new songs. We hardly ever presented a new song, whether it was an old one or a new one, to the congregation on a Sunday morning, because that's your evangelistic service. I'm trying to think of anything else as far as the old and the new. A lot of the older people, when they came in with choruses that they didn't do hymns, everybody thought that the music department had backslidden. How can you go away from hymns, But I think we're going into a whole nother shift the last 10 years of more songs full of words, and a lot of our older people that are used to even our choruses now say, how can we do these songs that have tons of words? How do we? But you learn to adapt, and that's where you teach your congregation to adapt to the old and the new, and that comes through communicating that through song.
Mm-hmm.
So any comments or questions on that?
Hi, this is Natasha Baldwin.
Yes.
I'm calling from Clarksville, Tennessee.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And my question is, you talked about adapting the congregation to the new style, transitioning from the balance of the old and the new.
Right.
Can you give an example of how you do that?
And a lot of churches do this, and we've done it a lot of times. Bring in an old or bring in a new song like I Surrender. I surrender, I surrender. I want to know you more. Do you know that song? You ever heard that?
No.
Okay, well, it's just a song, and then go into an old one. I surrender all. They may not know the new one, but when you click into the old one, they'll go, oh, I know this one. And so a lot of times if you blend the old and the new, sometimes even go back to the new song if it's got a good bridge, something that's catchy that they can pick up. Sometimes when you put an old one in, sandwich an old one into the new one, then you're acclimating them to, hey, that's not the only song about I surrender all. And with a church of 100 or 1,000, we still have, this is one thing I say everywhere I talk, you're going to always have naysayers and you're going to always have yay-sayers. And if you have no naysayers, then that means you're not doing everything just right. You're going to always have some opposition. And if you do, then you know you're doing things right.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That's good.
Hope that helped.
One thing you said that I liked is, this is just something for people to think about. I didn't think about this, but you said on your Sunday mornings, your evangelistic service, you don't do like new choruses there because of evangelistic service.
Right, because you want the people to acclimate. You want them to worship. And a lot of times when you bring in a new song, you're going to have them just staring at you or staring at the screen. That doesn't mean they don't like it. That means they're listening because they don't know it, especially these new ones with a lot of words. So you want to create and continue that atmosphere of worship on the Sunday morning. You do not want that to have a lull, because I don't know about y'all, but you get into a service, there's a momentum that is building. And so when you bring in a new song, everybody's going to sit on you just because they don't know it. So that's one thing where even in the going into the leadership mentality of what I was going to talk about, you have to be ever mindful of what's going on at that service. And that propels and that pushes what you're going to be singing and what you're doing in that service.
Absolutely. I agree. Well, I know this is a little different tonight. I've kind of talked with some of you, but does anyone else have any other questions for Sister Bernard as far as maybe kind of, you can talk hypothetical, that way no one knows where you're at, and not your church, but it's the church on the street. But
I do, Brother Hoffee. It's Sister Amy.
Yes, go ahead.
I was just wondering how you all approach refreshing your set list so that you don't get stuck singing some of the same songs over and over again. We've had that happen in our church, and we work hard to try to keep it from happening, but it still happens.
Well, you want me to go ahead? What I do, we have done this for years, and even through several music directors, we've always said, we've actually asked the praise team or asked the choir, is there a song that we've not sung in a long time that you missed, that you enjoyed, a chorus? Well, I'll go through, I have kept my book, my binder, 3-inch binder from when we started the church in 1992, which is now 25 years ago. I'll find choruses in there that I haven't done in years, but everybody knows them. I mean, there's some of them that I think, oh my word, we haven't done that in forever. Keep a list or find your old list or ask some of your older people, what would you like for us to sing? And you know what? The best thing about communicating, even when you may pull an old song out and half the congregation, because it may be a newer congregation, doesn't know the song, that's where you communicate. Whoever your worship leader is, there's no problem with saying, we're bringing an old one out, and if you don't know it, just listen. It's a wonderful song. There's nothing that says you can't communicate what you're singing before you do it. So I would ask your people, I would just create a list, and I always did that, and the music directors that I've had in the past said, give me a list of some old songs, and even if they didn't know it, hey, we'll learn it. Maybe you can help us learn it. Is this the right chord we're going to? And just bring some of these old ones out from the list that you've had. And, that may be something, Brother Hoffee, you can put on a list. What are some old choruses? If we've got a Facebook, ask a question. What are some choruses that you guys have done? And so I hope that helps.
Yeah, that's very helpful.
tell you one thing that we do too, Sister Amy, at our church. Not every church, may want to do it, but I really love this. And we have, of course, the adult choir, sanctuary choir that sings. But we also, of course, have a youth choir, which most people, a lot of people will have a youth choir. And of course, the youth choir is going to do songs that are definitely more youthful, younger, more contemporary. But we also have what's called our senior choir. We call it the Joy Choir, and it's basically 50, I think it's either 50 or 55 and older. And they always do our older songs they grew up on. And this is not just like a little token choir that sings once every 6 months. This is a choir that sings on a regular basis, not every Sunday by no means, but at the same time, I really love it. It's doing a couple of different things. It's getting our seniors involved, but it's also bringing those songs back as well. So just a thought, I think, to start that.
Brother Hoffee, you probably use older musicians too, don't you? Do you bring in some of the older ones? And see, we had done that at New Life also, and I've had young people come up after we called them a golden age. After they sung, I have to have young people come up to me and say, I love that song. That was wonderful. And so it does, and that goes back to the word of balance, having a youth choir, an adult choir, and a golden age or senior choir. You're hitting every age of your church when you do that.
Just to kind of give you some thoughts on it, my wife and I don't direct that choir. We have someone separate that directs that choir. Mm-hmm. So get someone else involved. Anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there.
That's great. A question.
Yes, go ahead.
My name's Emily Marquin. I'm from Vancouver, and we're a home missions church in Vancouver, Canada. And so we are about 4 years old, and so with that, the majority of the people that come to our church don't necessarily have a tie to a certain type of genre or perhaps an older song, but we only have the one service. So when we do introduce a song, we would have that one opportunity. One of the ways that I've tried to do that is to bring it in perhaps during offering time a couple of times, or perhaps even through a special in order to make it familiar before we sing it congregationally. But I was just wondering if you might have any other suggestions on how to bring in songs but kind of avoid that lull that you've mentioned.
Well, one thing I think is perfect what you're doing, bring them in on the altar and a special. We did that when our church was starting out very small. We had an ensemble and they would sing a special, and we'd actually run that special maybe once a month and then introduce it as a new song. Another thing you can do now with our social media, if they're all able to get on Facebook, your church or your music department, even if you have a church of 20, you need to be, if you have a church of 20, you need to be acting like you have a church of 40. If it's 40, you need to be, every mindset needs to be bigger and better, and you act that way. So on that Facebook page, start introducing, we're going to be bringing in these new songs, and put a link to those songs. Let them go on that Facebook and tell the people that's what you're going to be doing. And start putting songs on your Facebook for them to listen to. Hey, I heard this song. It's a great one for worship, a great one for prayer, and let your people know that's what you're doing. We have so many things at our hand available to us nowadays. In like your singers, if you've got one person that helps you, give it to them on a jump drive or a Dropbox. The more you just put it in there and out there to them, they'll get acclimated. And if that's the only service you have, then that's okay. You can voice that. This is the only service we have, but this is a new song. Y'all, just jump right in. Start finding new songs that the chorus is very easy, that the line repeats. And a lot of the songs, I don't know about Brother Hoffee, but there's a lot of songs going back to that hymn mentality now where the lines are being repeated. Find some of those songs that are easy for them and catchy for them to remember. Mm-hmm. Or if there's a station that you listen to that a lot of these songs come on, let them know. Tell them about it.
Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That's an excellent thing what you said about putting it on Facebook and having the congregation say, hey, be listening to this during the week. This is what we're going to be doing this Sunday. I like that idea.
Yeah.
Just even to share, if you're making it available to them, they don't know that you're training them to acclimate, to give them a new song.
Well, it's for example, I was just talking to Mike Lindsay, the GYD for Youth Congress. They're doing a lot of new songs that a lot of kids won't know. But they're going to put out those songs a month before, have them listening to them on the way to Youth Congress.
Right.
They come in there, they can really worship. And you're saying thing, which I like that.
Yep, that's good.
Very good question. Anybody else?
You can also you can make a Spotify set list and
Yes.
share it with your church. We do that.
Yes, that's a great
And
idea too.
we're a small church also.
Yeah, that's great.
Excellent. And as far as I know, Spotify is free.
There's a premium version and a free version.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, you create your own channel on Spotify, don't you? Is that what you do? You create your own set list?
Yeah, we just make our own set list.
Yeah.
We also use
Yeah.
it for altar music sometimes, or just
Right.
background music, whatever.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Mr. Bernard, as we close tonight, what would you, one thing I was thinking maybe help us with as far as everyone here tonight, what would you say in general? I said something while you were gone that I was talking about, you know, we all have our own styles that we like and prefer. You know, sometimes you can't always just push that agenda. You need to do what that congregation, that
Right.
responds to, and not just responds to, but you know what I mean.
Right.
Geographically, where you're at, you've got to know where you're at. What are your thoughts on that?
To me, it kind of falls along the same line of even music directors, even musically, you need to be ever growing, ever learning. So if there's things, you know, it's going to stretch you. But to me, I see that as a healthy challenge. But you know, if they're acclimated to that, then they need to. Number one, it's very hard to pull a group out of something that they've been in for a long time. But that's just like any church. You get a new pastor that comes in, they're going to do stuff different, and so you're going to have to slowly broaden their horizons. And so but that has to be communicated to your congregation. Anything you do to change, they need to see that it is a plus. It is a good change. It's opening, you know, and that goes both ways. But it's never, I mean, to me, you're just ever growing and ever learning. If you've got a whole new genre of music you need to learn, then so be it. It's a challenge, so do it. Not that you have to change everything that you do to acclimate to their style. That's where you need to get them to adjust to different styles. And that also is a very cultural thing, you know. Canada, I know their music is a lot different than how we do it down south in the States. So that is a big thing too, is cultural differences that you just have to kind of acclimate.
Very good. Do you have any last closing remarks or questions at all? If not, we'll go ahead and wrap up tonight. Well, I am very glad, Sister Bernard, you could be with us. I'm sorry it didn't work out for the video.
I am so sorry. Please have me back.
Absolutely, absolutely. And at least you could join us by phone. I think that's excellent because, I mean, you have so much influence on our organization and our music, and you, of course, having your background in music, a lot of, you know, you're in the trenches just like us and been there. And so
right.
That's exciting because you know where we're at and you know how this works. So thank you for being with us tonight.
Well, enjoyed it. I love talking music, so please have me back. And I love dialogue like this. Answering questions is the best. I love doing it.